Hello again, Off-Season Will here. Welcome to the next installment in Scouching's 2019 NHL Draft recaps. Today we're going to be looking at everyone's favorite punching bag, the Ottawa Senators. Now, all things considered, I'm going to do what I can to be as charitable as possible to the Ottawa Senators. But let me get out ahead of it. I don't really like the Ottawa Senators' approach to this year's draft. When you leave out the fact that they gave up the pick that ended up being Bowen Byram, the rest of their draft still doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. Right off the bat, at 19th overall, they took a huge swing on Lassi Thompson. The way that I would categorize Lassi Thompson's approach to the game is, think Evan Bouchard last year, but just not as much Evan Bouchard. He's got a good set of feet, a big, strong, powerful stride. He's got a good shot from the point and certainly scored a lot of goals for a defenseman, but I don't know what else he brings to the game. And while he pushed goal differentials really positively relative to the rest of the team, his overall goal rates for and against were mediocre. I never came away super thrilled with Lassi Thompson as a whole. He's one of the oldest draft eligibles available in this draft. Guys like Ryan Suzuki were still available, who were really big swings that I think the Ottawa Senators could have really used. But even safer bets like Philip Tomasino or Connor McMichael were available down the middle. Ville Heinola would have struck me as a better pick in this range. But Lassi Thompson does have an interesting analytical profile. I won't write this pick off completely on day one because you never should. I just feel like this is a player that I had ranked in the mid-second round and you could have probably gotten quite a bit later. But this team apparently seemed reluctant to trade down in the draft. Instead, they preferred to actually trade up, which we'll get to. And to take Lassi Thompson at 19 is a big risk, especially when you look at who was available on the board at the time. And continuing that, to start up the second round, they took Shane Pinto at 32. Now, I've been on the Shane Pinto train for quite a bit this season, but this was a reach. When guys like Bobby Brink and Arthur Kaliev were still on the board, I really thought that Ottawa would have taken one of those players and seen what happened. But when you look at Shane Pinto, he is a center, he's got decent size, he's got decent possession ability, and I guess if Braden Tracy gets selected a few picks before and you want a similar type of player, Pinto's not the worst option. I came away impressed with his play, and his metrics on paper were great with the Lincoln Stars. But when he was traded to the Tri-City Storm, which was where I saw the majority of his hockey, he kind of just more fit in as a middle six center on a really good USHL team. I'm just really not sure what his upside is, and at 32, with as much upside as there was available on the board and that went immediately after this pick, I really would have a hard time taking Pinto over many of the players that went in this range. What makes it worse for me for the Ottawa Senators is they were offered a 6th round pick to move down one spot so that the LA Kings could take Arthur Kaliev, but they said no and took Pinto, who was a player that could have been available at 40, let alone 33. So if they want to say no to taking a free 6th round pick, that's their prerogative. That's fine. If they really believe in Shane Pinto, then that's fine. I'm just not super on board with that strategy. They then did trade up in the draft to take Mads Søgaard, who was a goaltender that stopped a lot of pucks for the Medicine Hat Tigers in the WHL, and I do think there's a bit of his game that is underrated. But trading up to take him really strikes me as a strange strategy. Every time I actually used my eyes to watch him, I felt that he relied on his raw size to stop pucks. He got exposed really badly at the World Junior Championships, where he was expected to really help Denmark stay alive, and he really didn't show up particularly well. Now, that's not his last World Junior. He'll probably be back next year, and you can't judge individual tournaments too much, but it really felt like against really good competition he got exposed pretty badly. However, he's big and he saved a lot of pucks, so I can't really complain. It's just trading up to draft him was a strategy I probably wouldn't have employed. At 94th overall, the Ottawa Senators continued to perplex me by taking Victor Lodin. After John Ludwig, he was the first player where I went, who? Why? Who is this person? And the more I look into it, I feel like I could come to regret that sentiment, but at the same time, he's an older Swedish player who played an okay season for an okay team in the SHL. I honestly don't really know what the upside is here with him. I can't say I've really paid tremendous amounts of attention to how he plays. It just strikes me as a swing that was kind of unnecessary in this range. It doesn't get much better for the Senators, as at 125th they took Mark Kastelik, who I saw a little bit of with the Calgary Hitmen this year, and he did have a good D+2 season this year, but you kind of would expect that out of a big center in the WHL. He plays a very physical offensive style, and he did score 47 goals this year. I just don't know how that profile translates particularly well. He kind of just met expectations. Now, drafting him here does feel like a reach, but the Ottawa Senators can put him straight in the AHL if they feel like he should be there next season. And honestly, with someone like him, that profile sounds like it should be in the AHL next season, especially when you have someone like Eugene Melnyk who's going around telling everyone that he's going to play 15 or 20 or 30 rookies in the NHL next season. Kastelich might even be one of those guys that they just throw on the fourth line because he scored 47 goals last year. I honestly have no idea what Ottawa's plan is. But at 187, the Ottawa Senators took a really nice swing on offensive defenseman Maxime Gannett. He's a player who I was kind of surprised to be available at that last pick at 187. He's a good offensive defenseman who played on a very poor team, so I think as that team improves, he should improve as well. I think he was a little bit overwhelmed with the role he was given last year, so I think over time he should improve, and this could be an interesting pick late. So if you've watched Scouching reports before, we're taking the same rating system and translating it into this series. The number is going to indicate the overall potential that a group of prospects might have, and the letter indicates the probability of reaching that ceiling for that group of players. And for the Ottawa Senators, I'm really trying hard to see what the strategy is here. What type of player do they value? What do they want to swing on? What are the talents that they like? And honestly, I don't know what to say about this group of players. Lassi Thompson is a huge swing. Shane Pinto at 32 is an even bigger swing. Maxime Gannett is a good pick late. Mark Kastelich is a guy that they could plug into the AHL immediately. And outside that, Mads Søgaard could be a decent goaltender. I just don't know if it's all going to get there, so I have to give them something like a 4C. Looking back at this draft, I don't really know how much upside is going to come out of it. At 19th overall, you better hope that Lassi Thompson turns out to be what he could be, because some good players went after him, and I think that it was a reach to take him at 19. Shane Pinto, some extremely good players went immediately after him, and it would be really hard to convince me to pass on guys like Arthur Kaliyev and Bobby Brink and Nils Höglander to take Shane Pinto. But I do think he could be a good contributor one day. And Mark Kastelich, 47 goals is 47 goals, and he can jump straight to the AHL, so who knows from there. But I just don't feel particularly optimistic about this draft class as a whole for the Ottawa Senators. So that's it for the Ottawa Senators. In the next video, we're going to be looking at the Arizona Coyotes. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, you could click all the buttons you see below me so you never miss another video. If you really liked it, you could support us on Patreon, where you get access to spreadsheets for drafted and undrafted prospects, as well as private chat rooms and merchandise discounts and plenty of other goodies. Or you could pick up some merchandise from the Scouchwear shop. All the links are in the description below. So that's it, and join me in the next one where we look at the Arizona Coyotes.